If you're looking for a trusted and reliable source of news, information, op-eds, all that good stuff, check out my friends over at patriotpost.us. A link for them will be in the description box. So when you head over there and subscribe, tell them that ABL sent you. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and ABC covering up, spiking, whatever you want to call it, a story they had on him for at least 3 years or more. Now, what I'm going to do before we even get into all that stuff is roll this clip of ABC News reporter Amy Robach speaking on a hot mic. She did not know that she was being recorded, audio and video, but the video has been leaked. We'll talk about that after we get done. We'll talk about her response to the video leak and ABC's response. We'll talk about Jeffrey Epstein's death, a few more things. I'll give you my 2 cents, my analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, I'm not really sure where to begin. There's a whole lot to quote unquote unpack here, as the cool kids would say. Let's just start from the very top of the particular video you just saw. Now, it was pretty clear, in my humble opinion, based upon her body language, she was feeling like it was being covered up and that it was kind of an injustice. You know, she wants to get it out there to the public, but she's not able to. She brought up Buckingham Palace. She said, well, we got threatened a million different ways, is that and the third. So it's pretty clear that there are some big higher ups that did not want the story to come out for other reasons other than what she said in the statement, which I'll place on the screen before you and also in the description box below. Basically, to sum it up in a nutshell, she's saying the story did not meet ABC News's journalistic standards, so it couldn't come out. Now, I find that very hard to believe. How do you have a story for that long, 3 years, and you just totally spike it? You don't bring it to the light of day. You have a witness, you have pictures, you have names, you have physical evidence. I mean, what more do you need? Jeffrey Epstein has already been convicted of the same kind of crime that he was being accused of. It wouldn't be a far stretch to believe what was presented in front of you when there was so much information and so much evidence. Journalistic standards, I mean, where were those standards at when you're talking about Nick Salmon and, you know, the Covington kids? Remember that whole thing with the confrontation, quote unquote, with the quote unquote native elder, you know, banging a drum in the faces, that and the third. Where was the standards for that? Okay, how about reporting on everything dealing with Brett Kavanaugh? It doesn't matter if it's legitimate, illegitimate. It doesn't really matter. These news stations purport themselves to have such strenuous journalistic standards, but then when it comes to a thing that they don't agree with or they really want to get on because of a political leaning that they are against or for, all of a sudden, that doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter that you don't have any evidence, any real physical evidence against Brett Kavanaugh. You come out there and report news regardless of what. Same thing with Trump or anybody else. But when it comes to Epstein, all of a sudden, you don't want to say anything. Now, I got to back up a little bit here in case you don't know for some reason who Jeffrey Epstein was. He's dead now, but we'll get to that in a moment. Jeffrey Epstein was a wealthy, I guess you would call it, financier. I'm not exactly sure what he did. I believe he managed hedge funds. If I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments below. But he was a rich guy. He had this island where he flew a bunch of very powerful men to with the purpose of engaging in sex with underage girls, maybe even boys. Big names have been implicated in this whole thing. Going to the island, or if not going to the island, dealing with Epstein and the underage girls. Bill Clinton had been on the quote-unquote Lolita Express, which was Jeffrey Epstein's private plane, I think 26 times, according to the charter. It could have been more than that were not necessarily on the charter, but I digress. You also have Prince Andrew, and that's what caused Buckingham Palace to get involved. Once they found out that ABC had this information and they were, trying to develop a story, that's when they got involved and say, oh, no, we're not going to do that. Okay, you're talking about very powerful people, potential leaders of nations, princes, dukes, presidents, prime ministers, sultans, big hedge fund managers. These people are kind of untouchable. And that is a reason why, in my humble opinion, the story got spiked. This whole excuse about journalistic integrity is bogus. It doesn't make any sense, because any other time they wouldn't even worry about that at all. They're more concerned about getting the story out there regardless of what. But we'll move on. Now, I think everybody following the story understands how important this guy Jeffrey Epstein was as far as knowledge that he had about big time pedophiles. When I say big time, I mean, like I said, leaders of nations. So when he got locked up, I think we all kind of figured that he may get injured or killed in jail to prevent him from talking about anybody. Okay, if Buckingham Palace is going to call an American news organization and say, don't put the story out or it's going to be some problems, why would it be such a big stretch to think that Jeffrey Epstein would be killed in jail in order for him to not talk about certain things? ABC has information from, secondhand, thirdhand, whatever. The source himself is also going to be silenced. And that is what, in my humble opinion, and many others' opinion, happened to Jeffrey Epstein in his cell. The same reason why ABC couldn't put out that story is the same reason why Jeffrey Epstein is no longer with us on planet Earth. I don't know where he's at. Could be somewhere burning, whatever it is, but he's not here no more. Some would say that's a conspiracy theory, ABL. How are you going to say that? You floating conspiracy theories? No. Listen, a private medical examiner hired by Jeffrey Epstein's family came out and said that the injuries on Epstein's neck were not congruent with a hanging. It looked like strangulation or maybe even blunt force trauma, like somebody stomped on his neck, choked him out and killed him that way, and then made it appear to be a suicide. That's very possible. Look at all the crazy, quote unquote, abnormalities, coincidences, whatever you want to label them as. First of all, he's in this highly secure federal detention center in middle of New York. I think it was MDC. He was on suicide watch at one particular point, but when he, quote unquote, killed himself, he was not on suicide watch anymore. There's cameras everywhere all over the prison, but there's a camera facing his cell. But for some reason, the camera didn't work when he killed himself. Coincidence? Man. There were guards assigned to patrol the area where his cell was at, to walk by his cell like every half hour, so maybe even more than that. Miraculously, the two guards that were right there on duty go to bed for 3 hours at the same time, and in that window of time is when Jeffrey Epstein decided to kill himself. He's 6 feet tall, and the official story was that he hung himself with paper-thin sheets from the top of a bunk in prison. Come on. How do you generate enough force to do that? It just didn't make any sense at all. And like I said, the private medical examiner, the pathologist, came and said that the injuries on his neck were not congruent with a hanging. It looked more like homicide, like somebody choked him out and staged the scene to make it appear to be a hanging. Whether Epstein killed himself or he didn't, that's a topic that can be debated. I think what nobody can debate is that Jeffrey Epstein was a big time pedophile, and he probably had information about a lot of other people doing the exact same thing that he was doing. High name people, leaders of nations, princes, etc., all right there in his little black book. Many have been exposed so far. Bill Clinton, obviously. Alan Dershowitz, the lawyer, Prince Andrew, who's going to be next? I don't know, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that ABC covered the story up because they didn't want to get anything negative to come their way? They didn't want to have any of the threats from Buckingham Palace to come true? Or was it because of the quote-unquote official statement from Amy Robach and ABC News that, oh, the story did not meet our journalistic standards and we couldn't put it out? Really? And the craziest part about that statement is how they promoted a podcast at the end in a documentary talking about, oh, well, we never stopped reporting on it. Matter of fact, we're going to do a brand new podcast in a documentary coming out top of the year. It's like, really? So you take this opportunity to try and dispel the video that came out. It's not even a rumor, it's a video that came out. You're trying to counteract that with a promotion for a TV show, really? These people don't really care. It's about money first, and if they get threatened with a thing, they ain't gonna do nothing. You know, don't go to the government. Nah, I'm gonna just be quiet because I got money to make. It's really a crying shame. Do you think that I'm correct, incorrect, whatever your comments are? Please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.